All right, my friends. I just pressed the Let's Go Live button, which means we've got to wait for the stream to connect itself all across the fruited plains of the interwebs on this very spicy day. And we can't wait to get into it, but we can't start until the tubes connect themselves. It looks like they have connected over on the tubes. We got Rumbles booting up. We got Locals is kicking over. What's up to our friends on Telegram? It looks like it's time to get started. So we can go ahead and do that, shall we? Let's do it. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Cohen. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we are talking about a disaster of a case that has landed in New York. We know what we're talking about. Michael Cohen was on the stand today. Absolutely devastating. He's admitting to multiple lies, one of which is theft. He stole from the Trump organization. And that is a prediction. That's a little bit of a thesis that we've had going here for quite some time, that he was actually the criminal who was creating all of this in order to extort Trump. He got the idea from Keith Davidson, and here we are. So we're going to go through it. Absolutely shocking day, honestly. Probably not ever going to see anything quite like this. Well, maybe we'll see a lot more of it since our justice system is what it is. But today was shocking. We're going to go through it. Trump spoke before the trial. We have inner-city press reporting, and there was a cross-examination taking place by Todd Blanche, who we've already been following as this case has been unfolding. We're on day 19 now. We're on the third day of testimony from Michael Cohen. Todd Blanche wrapping up with cross-examination. So we'll go through that. We have the redirect. So the government's going to come back out and try to fix everything that Todd Blanche just wrecked for them. And then we'll have Todd Blanche come out for a recross. And then we'll be done with that. We'll have the government now rest their case, and we'll transition into the defense case in chief because they called some witnesses today. But before we get there, we're going to get reaction from CNN, because even if Trump is, let's say, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but even if he is convicted in this case, the legitimacy, the credibility of what has happened here is so lacking. It's been obliterated. Even CNN is agreeing and concurring on that. So Lawrence O'Donnell, he came out, he tried to justify the theft. He's like, well, you know, Michael Cohen deserved a bonus or something. And so he'll try to explain why this is not a big deal. We also have CNN and Kaitlan Collins and other people saying there's no direct link. Cohen's testimony has been a disaster. And Jake Tapper is reeling from the testimony. He's like, my heart's so broken. Everything that I've wanted is now coming crashing to a halt. So we'll go through CNN, see what the reaction is to Michael Cohen. But we're not done yet, man. It just gets spicier by the day. You thought that was spicy. We now have a couple witnesses that came out in the defense case in chief. So we were wondering if anybody was going to testify at all. Weren't sure whether the defense was just going to rest their case, just say, no, I mean, they haven't met the elements of the offense. There's no reason to continue to present any evidence. They haven't met their burden of proof. It's on them in order to check the boxes to hit the elements of the offense in order to secure the conviction. They haven't done that. So we don't have to say anything. That's a presumption of innocence. We love that. But the defense said, let's get into it. So they did. They brought out one witness who was a paralegal for the defense law firm who works for Todd Blanche. He's going to come out, explain a little bit about how the case was built. And then we're going to jump into this guy. You remember him, Robert Costello. Guy's got like 50 years of legal experience, been in and out of New York, Southern District of New York, former prosecutor, all sorts of stuff. So he comes out on the stand. They called him, and the judge just laced into him. So the judge just basically cleared the courtroom. Apparently, during his testimony, the judge cut him off. And he said, geez, under his breath. He looked at the judge like, geez, this is crazy. And the judge was scolding him, basically looking at him, cleared the courtroom, everybody out. And then laced into him, said, are you staring me down in my own courtroom? And he's like, yeah, kind of I am. So we'll get into that and we'll see what Robert Costello had to say. He's very persuasive and it's going to be fun to get into this. So we got inner city press reporting. Elie Honig is even saying that the Cohen felony that he admitted to today is worse than what Trump is being charged with. So he's their star witness. It's a joke. Alina Habba is also going to explain whether Donald Trump is going to testify. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen. In fact, hopefully, if that happens, somebody, lays their body out in front of him like the Secret Service. No! We'll see if that happens. All right. We also had, check this one out, Kaitlan Collins even dropping wows. Wow. The judge is clearing the courtroom, okay, after dressing down Robert Costello for rolling his eyes and muttering. The press is pushing back on this. The judge is throwing the press out on the day too. Court officials are yelling, "It's bedlam." So, as you can see, my friends, I'm a little bit excited to get into this. You know, I'm always excited to be here on the show, but today's like, oh my gosh, we're never going to see anything like this again. So it's going to be a lot of fun to go through it with you here today. I'm glad that you are here and joining us on this historic day 19, one of the most insane cases we've ever covered here. And so we're going to get into it. If you want to become a member and join us, support our work, join us for our members only morning streams, join us for our Saturday streams and other stuff. We'll get into that at watchingthewatchers.locals.com or become a member over on YouTube. We really try to deliver for our members. We do tons of streams. We try to get them done 6 days a week. Although tomorrow, your boy is not going to be able to do a members only stream because I wanted to promote this. Tomorrow, we've got a virtual conference taking place and your boy got invited to speak to it. I don't know why. They were like, I guess we'll put you in the lineup. I mean, they must have been lacking some candidates or something. But they slotted me right in here, 10 a.m. Pacific time. So that'll be 1 p.m. East Coast time. Your boy got invited to speak. You can go to davosinthedesert.us if you want to check it out and figure out how to watch and get in there. But I'm speaking, you know who Robert Barnes is right next door with our friend vivabarneslaw.locals.com and everywhere else. He's speaking. We got John Eastman speaking. Rachel Alexander, you know who she is. She's on X. She's speaking. Dennis Willicek is speaking. All sorts of awesome people. So your boy will be there 10 a.m. tomorrow. And we're talking about the Bragg case because obviously we've been covering that. So I'm going to finish my slide deck and it's going to be pretty nice. It's going to be pretty nice. So, all right, come check it out. davosinthedesert.us if you want to join us. We have watcherlodge.com, our sovereignty and self-development community. Go check that out. And, of course, robertgovea.com, PDFs, merch store, show calendar, show reports, and all the good stuff. And so, without any further ado, my friends, let's get into it because this is what we've all been waiting for all day. And, yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. So, let's do it. Michael Cohen destroys the Trump prosecution, obliterates the Bragg case. When he got onto the stand and got cross-examined by Todd Blanche, it is the end of the credibility, the legitimacy that they have been begging to exist in this case. Now, we're going to get into this courtesy of Inner City Press as usual. But before we jump in, Trump came out and he spoke a little bit before the day started. And so let's hear from him. We'll listen to just a bit of it and then we'll jump into the testimony. We just want to get a flavor for what the scene looks like. Of course, Donald Trump there, solid blue tie, looking sharp. It's live early in the morning in New York. Todd Blanche in red, the red tie. And these two really do a nice job coordinating. And you see some familiar faces in the background, but let's hear what the president says before we jump into it.
Still on the chair, Michael Cohen.
Campaigning. As you know, I was supposed to be in a very different state this morning, and the judge actually decided to call it early. And yet, it looks like we're going to have a very big gap between days, and it's going to be determined right now in court. But we're here about an hour early today. I was supposed to be making a speech for political purposes. I'm not allowed to have anything to do with politics because I'm sitting in a very freezing cold courtroom for the last 4 weeks. It's very unfair. They have no case. They have no crime. It's been determined by everybody, every legal scholar. New York Post editorial board today. Trump prosecution wind down. It's always been a witch hunt. With a prosecution winding down in Donald Trump's Manhattan case, we have to ask, in the immortal words of Peggy Lee, is that all there is? That's the New York Post editorial board. It's become utterly apparent, if that wasn't seen already, that the key elements to any prosecution is missing. The key element is missing, and it says, what's missing? A crime. There's no crime. You know, they go through all this stuff, and there was nothing done wrong. NDAs are perfect. And by the way, legal expenses, you know, we paid a legal expense. You know what it's marked down in the book says? A legal expense. Again, it's not marked down as construction. It's not marked down as sheetrock and cinder block. It's marked down as legal expense. You have a lawyer.
Because it went to a lawyer.
You pay him a legal expense, and it's covered in the book as legal expense. I had nothing to do with it. A bookkeeper put it down as a legal expense. This is why I'm here, because we called it a legal expense, a payment to a lawyer.
All right, so that's the president. You can see here, I think, delivering exactly the truth. Nobody has any idea how this case is legitimate. Even the people on CNN, which we'll get to in a minute, are shocked by how bad this case is, wondering how Alvin Bragg got it this far. So let's get right into the testimony. Of course, you know who is reporting here for us. We're grateful for his work. We wouldn't be able to cover it this way without him. So be sure you're following Inner City Press, and we always like to repost this right as we're live in case you want to follow along. Trump trial, home stretch. You know where to find him. You can Venmo him some cash moolah. You can PayPal him. You can buy a book on Amazon. You can follow him on X, subscribe to his Patreon, all the things, because he's bringing us inside the courtroom today. Court's in session. Trump arrived. Blue suit, light blue tie, as we saw. Now, on the police and court officers, they're squawking on their walkie-talkies. Stuff all flying over the place. Someone says protesters heading south on North Center Street. Protesters marching up North Center Street. Copy. Trump whispers in Todd Blanche's ear. Day's about to get started. We're counting down, waiting for the judge to enter the courtroom. And boom, he does. All rise. Clerk of the court says, this is the people of the state of New York versus Donald Trump. Mercan says, good morning, Mr. Trump. Thanks for coming in early here today. Now, it's become apparent that we're not going to be able to sum this up tomorrow. So we're not going to be able to resolve this case here on Tuesday. We were going to have summation arguments, and now we are not. Now, Mercan says, it looks like the evidence is going to end this week, but we're going to have summation arguments on next Tuesday. We thought we were going to have closing arguments tomorrow, but now not. Next Tuesday. And we had a little bit of a blurry screen, so that should be clearing up. I saw we had a little connection problem, but it says it's excellent now again, so hopefully the stream clears up in a minute. My apologies on that. Don't know what that's about. Probably feds in the tubes. Probably Michael Cohen infecting our tubes today. All right, so hopefully it clears up. Now, prosecutor continues. Says, Your Honor, if Mr. Costello testified, then all this is going to be hearsay. And the prosecutor, Susan, is kind of complaining. We don't have him. He can't come in and testify. So Todd Blanche says, Your Honor, that's ridiculous. This email from Mr. Costello's colleague is literally direct impeachment of Mr. Cohen. It's going to show that he's lying and go to his credibility, and so we can show this. And the government says, no, that's just the opinion of Mr. Citron. It doesn't impeach Michael Cohen at all. And Blanche says, yeah, it does. Are you nuts? It was sent to Mr. Cohen. So obviously it matters. The judge says, well, I'm not going to allow it in. I don't care. Todd says from the defense, Your Honor, the government offered emails to Mr. Cohen, literally just like this one that I'm trying to admit. And you admitted all of those. So admit this one. There's no difference. It's the same thing. The judge says, I don't care. I'm not going to allow it. So deal with it. Defense says, Your Honor, okay, well, how about this? I'll show him the email and then I'll potentially offer it. I'm going to see if he recognizes this. I'm just going to try to get it in through Michael Cohen. And the judge says, well, what are you going to ask him? I'm going to ask if he answered to this question. I'm going to ask him if he answered this email. Did you get this email? Did you answer the email? If not, it could be admission by inaction. The judge says, nope, not going to allow it. Email's not coming in. So just deal with it, Todd. And he says, here's my ruling also on Brad Smith, by the way. Says defendant Trump proposes to ask him about definitions. So this would be some other expert witness, presumably coming in, called Brad Smith for the defense. The judge says, well, I've thought about this. And I think that Brad Smith would have to interpret federal law. And this would result in the battle of the experts, which could confuse the jury. So they'll come out. Remember, Trump wants to bring in somebody to say that there was no FEC violation. Federal Elections Committee, you have to spend campaign money on certain things. They're saying that Trump committed another crime or intended to commit another crime, to be more specific. Charged with falsifying business records with the intent of committing some other crime or furthering some other offense. What is that other offense? We know Judge Mercan gave the jury a pick your card, any card, doesn't matter which type of case, choose your own adventure, multiple choice, whatever you want to call it, pick a crime, any crime. We don't care, pick one. And one of those crimes could be federal election law violation, even though the Southern District of New York investigated that and declined to prosecute because Michael Cohen was the star witness and they're not idiots like these prosecutors are. Well, I maybe oversold that one. But they also said it could be tax crime locally or local election crimes, even though this was for a federal election. So it's insane. But the Trump defense is saying, well, we're going to come out here because there's a real concern that the jury is going to think that something went wrong, right? They're going to say, well, I don't know. We didn't hear anything about federal election rule. And it sounds like paying off a Stormy doesn't really comport with traditional campaigning. And so the jury might just, I don't know, default to the lowest common denominator. Trump did something bad and find him guilty based on the fact that there could be a violation of federal law. They don't know. So Trump's team wants to bring in somebody, an expert, to say that didn't happen. There is no violation of federal law. What would happen if they did that is the government would bring in their own expert. So they'd bring in someone else who says, yeah, it is a violation of federal law. And then we're all asking ourselves, well, if it is, then why didn't the government prosecute it? And so the judge says, well, it's going to be a battle of the experts and it's going to be very confusing because there's no crime here. And we're going to have other people trying to prove a federal crime tucked in to a state criminal offense. So the judge says this has already been rejected by federal Judge Lewis Kaplan. And Judge Lewis Kaplan, as we know, was on the FTX trial. And Judge Kaplan was also on the E. Jean Carroll case against Donald Trump. So this judge is parlaying and piggybacking off another Trump-hating judge out in the Southern District of New York at the federal court level. So Trump's defense attorney, Emile Beauvais, he stands up. Todd Blanche is trying to get into it with this judge. And Beauvais stands up. He's like, Your Honor, the irrespective rule is critical to the jury understanding the government's charges at the trial. If the FEC wanted to charge him, then they would have charged him, and they haven't. So things changed when both sides submitted proposed instructions on the FECA. And Your Honor has not indicated on instructing on the FECA. And so we don't know what you're going to tell the jury the rules are. So we have to bring in an expert to confirm that there is no violation of federal law. Said it's not a good position for a lawyer to be asking questions to the court, Your Honor, but it would help us know how you intend to instruct the jury. We don't even know how to prepare our defense because we don't know what the rules that you're going to provide to the jury are. Like, how do you win a board game if you don't know what the rules are, let alone a jury trial? How do you defend yourself if you don't know what the jury is going to be weighing against each other? Merchan says, well, the way I instructed the jury in People versus the Trump org is how I'm going to do this. Less is better. So that they can, again, pick their own crime. Pick a crime, any crime, doesn't matter. Less is better. So they'll have total, carte blanche. Just choose from the menu. Merchan says, and by the way, Emile Beauvais, you could have come to me for an earlier ruling. So just relax, okay? Calm down. You could tell Emile was very upset. Your Honor, it's ridiculous. We don't want to question the court, but we can't even prepare. Just relax, okay? I'll let you know at the pre-charge conference what the actual rules are. Okay, sit down. Now, Beauvais says, Your Honor, since February, we've been handling this. I have been here earlier. Now, the FECA is buried under the New York statute election law. So now they're trying to tuck that into New York law. And so we don't even know what we're doing here. He says, well, why don't you make me an offer of proof on that one? And then I'll make my decision and decide accordingly on what I should put in the instructions. So Todd Blanche says, Your Honor, can we approach, please? Trump sitting at the defense table. Whoa, Alan Dershowitz is in the front row. Shout out to Alan Dershowitz. He's also on YouTube and I think Rumble too. And so they're having a sidebar. They wrap up some of these preliminaries. The judge says, we're going to take a short break and we'll start at 9:30. Now, Inner City Press continues reporting. We're back from the break. The judge says, before we begin, let us see if we can agree on some of the definitions here and get it to me. So we'll get some of the definitions. What's FECA? What is this rule? And says, we'll get back to it and we'll settle that later. Now, let's get the witness on the stand, please. Defense says, all right, Your Honor. State recalls Michael Cohen to the stand. Michael Cohen comes in. Remember, you're under oath, liar. He says, I don't care, oath or not. I don't give a crap, whatever you say. Well, oath of whatever. So he's wearing a purple tie. He's sitting up on the bench. Jury enters. What the heck? Hang on. Okay, so sorry about that. Something was making a phone call to somebody who should not be making a phone call. Okay, that was very strange. All right, so anyways, we're back. We're back. So Cohen retakes the stand. I'm not joking. My iPad just started making a phone call right over there. It just started calling somebody. It heard me say something. It was calling somebody. So I had to stop that. I don't know how that happened. We're back. Feds are everywhere today. They're all over the place. All right, we're back. Let's see if you can agree on the definitions. call Michael Cohen in. He says, I don't care about your stupid oath. He's back on the stand. Jury comes back in. Trump's defense attorney, Todd Blanche. He says, hello, Michael. Very nice to see you again. Let's get started. Now, since Thursday, Mr. Cohen, how many reporters have you spoken to since we left? Cohen says, well, I spoke to reporters, of course, but I didn't talk about this case. Well, this year, Michael, how often have you spoken with the prosecutors in this case? He says, 20, so maybe, probably 20 maybe times, which is insane. Okay. Last time, he says, was 10 days ago in the middle of trial. And so when you met with the prosecutors, Mr. Cohen, they asked you questions similar to what they asked you here on the stand. Is that right? He says, yes. But I also heard questions from Mrs. Hoffinger, the prosecutor, that I had not ever heard before, says Michael Cohen. So there were new questions. Now, Michael, you were shown documents that you were not then shown last week, right? So these were new documents you hadn't seen before? Yes, that's true. And do you know Dan Goldman? He says, yeah, I do. He's now a member of Congress. We know Dan Goldman admitted to prepping Michael Cohen before his testimony and before his depositions and theoretically before trial. Now, how many times did you meet with Dan Goldman before you testified to Congress? He says twice. And that was one of the times that you lied, wasn't it, on Stormy Daniels? He says, yes. And you say that when you spoke with President Trump, it was an issue about that, right? Yes. So that's curious. It sounds like Mr. Dan Goldman may have committed the crime of suborning perjury for Michael Cohen by telling him how to testify, maybe offering the protections of Congress. Curious. Mr. Cohen, did you speak with Mr. Pecker about a potential extortion of Tiffany Trump about photographs, another member of the Trump family? Yes, I did. And do you know John Linden? He says, yeah, I do. He's a mortgage broker out of Florida. What kind of company does he have? What's it called? He says it's called Resolution Consultants. Mr. Cohen, I want to show you B-130. Do you see a text message from someone called Carrie? Cohen's looking at the document. He says, I believe so. Well, do you or do you not? Yes, I do. And Carrie is John Lyden's wife, right? And you see that she's asking about medallions in that message? He says, yes, sir. And you were having financial problems with Mr. Friedman back then, weren't you? He says, yes, I was. He was having marital problems. I tried to bring them back together or to help him find a lawyer. And did you help him find a place to live? Objection! They go up to a sidebar. Talking with the judge, they're back. Defense attorney Blanche says, Mr. Cohen, you opened Resolution Consultants, and you didn't open it because you were considering doing a deal with the Florida firm, right? No. And you were in London. And when you were there, did you communicate about a lawsuit against Mr. Pecker? Like you were going to sue him? And remember, Pecker was the AMI guy, the American media something or other, and they owned the National Enquirer, and they were the entity that helped facilitate the Karen Droopy McDougal situation originally. They never called McDougal, and they maybe never even should have called Pecker, but we're here. So you were going to sue Mr. Pecker? Yes. And Michael, you were also sent a video link about the niece of MLK, Martin Luther King, supporting President Trump, weren't you? Yes, I was. And all of this was happening in the week of October 24, 25, and 26? Yes. And Tiffany Trump, that was all happening at the same time. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff happening here. All simultaneously, multiple layers like Inception. Now, do you recollect what President Trump was doing during this time period? He says, no, sir. Now, I want to show you this. Objection! Sustained. You don't even know what it was. Okay, this judge is just on a hair trigger. I want to show you this. Objection sustained. I don't even know. Blanche says, well, this is, Michael, did you do a sit-down interview with his family on ABC? Objection sustained. So the judge is going to keep all of this evidence out. They're trying to impeach Michael Cohen. Do you recollect what President Trump was doing? I want to show you this. It's a sit-down interview with his family on ABC. Objection. Thanks, Judge. Defense continues. Michael, so on that day, or on the day, you didn't speak with President Trump about any of these other matters. Is that right? He says, no, it was Stormy Daniels that personally concerned me. That's what I cared about. And you said when you testified, when the government was asking you questions, you said there was $130,000 for Stormy Daniels, right? And you said that a part of that payment, there was also $50,000 for this organization called Redfinch. Remember that? Yeah. And those were for polling costs, $50,000. Yeah. But Michael, I'm looking at these records, and isn't it true that you only paid Redfinch $20,000? Is that right? How'd you get it for him? He says, well, I took it out of the TD bank over several days. So we notice a pretty big discrepancy there. And remember, Cohen just added that in, and then they grossed it up, and then it ultimately came out to $420,000. And our argument was, well, okay, it's clearly not a payment for only Stormy Daniels. It is for legal expenses because it includes other things like Redfinch for polling, which has nothing to do with an NDA with Stormy. So it is commingled, in other words. So you can't even trace the money directly to a payment for Stormy. He was paying for legal services. Michael Cohen then subcontracted the payments out. These were little subcontractor deals. So 50 grand went to Cohen, but you only paid Redfinch $20,000. And of that money, how did you get it for him? He says, well, I took it out of a TD bank over several days. Would you like take the cash out and put it in a duffel bag? No, I put it in a brown paper bag. And you were square with him? Like the 20 grand, that was square? Now he would have liked the 30, you were square. He says, well, he would have liked the other 30,000. But you said Alan Weisselberg grossed all of this up to 100,000. Okay, so Cohen says, yeah, he would have liked the other 30K, but I kept it. But Weisselberg, the CFO from the Trump organization, he grossed you up to 100 grand, right? He says, yeah. So when he grossed you up based on that amount of payment going to Redfinch, we can say you stole from the Trump organization, right, Michael? I did. And have you been prosecuted for larceny or even made to pay any of that money back? No, sir. So we would agree that you stole from the Trump organization. Is that true? Yes, I did. And if you had a retainer agreement, it would have been with Mr. Trump. Is that right? Yes, it is. Now, I want to show you B260, which is your email with the CFO, Mr. Weisselberg. And this is a forward from Normal Orneas. Is that true? He says yes. Put up People's Exhibit number 1. Now, this email from Alan Weisselberg is to Jeff McConney. You see that? Yeah. And why would Don Jr. and Eric approve your payments? How come they would approve it, not Trump? If Trump was your personal lawyer and he was paying you directly, why would Don Jr. and Eric approve it? He says, well, they were on the board of trust at the Trump organization. Yeah, but in 2017, you used to be the personal attorney to President Trump, right, Michael? Yes. And you were regularly talking with the media. You told TMZ about this, right? You gave a little scoop to the New York Times about it, right? Cohen says, yes, I was. I was proud of the role. I said, I was personal attorney to the president. So I told TMZ, I said, hey, guess what? I told the New York Times, hey, guess what? I'm the personal lawyer. Look how cool I am. Yeah, I was proud of the role. Defense says, all right, Michael, I want to show you B261. This is an email. You recognize that? He looks at it. Yeah, I do. This is your farewell email to the Trump organization, isn't it? He says, yes. We move to admit. Judge has admitted. Now, Michael, during your time there, you worked on a real lawsuit, right? You had filings due, and you had filings due with this guy called Mark Kasowitz. Is that true? He says, yeah. I want to show you B237. You'd agree these are subpoenas of the State Department? Cohen says, yeah. Did you do something on this case? He says, yes, sir, I did. Now, in May, Mr. Cohen, in 2017, Robert Mueller was appointed to investigate Trump over the Russian collusion nonsense that was all fake and rigged. But it was Mr. Moskowitz, at least initially, who represented Mr. Trump on that, right? Now, how did that make you feel, Mr. Cohen? He says, I don't know, probably happy. And you also did work for Melania Trump, didn't you? Yeah, on some personal matters I did. Okay, well, I want to talk about your consulting clients. I want to start with AT&T. You work with them, right? Yeah. And I want to show you this document. Looks like a reimbursement Looks like they paid you what, $50,000 a month? Whew. For how long did they do that? He says for 1 year. It's consulting and advisory work for AT&T. It's probably why your calls drop all the time. Michael Cohen was on the case. Now, what did you actually do there? He says, well, they wanted to acquire TW. And so you had 20 phone calls. You got $1 million. Is that true? I guess there's nothing wrong with that, right? You can get, $1 million for about 20 phone calls. Amazing. Yeah, nothing wrong with that, he says. I'm very smart. Now, how about Columbus Nova? Did you work for them? Yeah. And how long was that? He says, well, I was supposed to be working with them for a year, but it turned out I was only there for 6 months. Now, you never told President Trump any of this, right? Well, he says, well, it was President Trump who introduced me to the CEO of AT&T. So, but Mr. Trump was frustrated. You were getting paid to advise AT&T. You know that, right? Objection sustained. Now, were there clients you rejected, Mr. Cohen, like Avenue Ventures? Did you tell them no? He says, yeah, I did because they wanted lobbying and I didn't want to do that. What about BTA Bank? Now, how much did they pay you, Michael? Well, that was supposed to be $150,000, but it ended after 3 months. And also Franklin Haney, he paid me too. And he had a nuclear facility that I was doing some work on. In 2018, Michael, when the Stormy Daniels payments leaked, you told many people that President Trump knew nothing about it, didn't you? Yes. And did you tell people that you told Melania that President Trump didn't know? Did you tell her that? Or you told people that you told Melania that Trump didn't know anything about this? I don't remember. Well, did you tell the BBC, for example, that there was no way you would have told President Trump? Yes. And did you record the call with the BBC? He says, yes. So you said there was no way you would have told President Trump. That's interesting. And you recorded that call. So it sounds like you said that Trump didn't know anything about this. You would have never told him. Yes, that's true. Yes, that's true. I recorded it too. So it's recorded. Okay, Michael, until April, when you got raided by the FBI in 2017, until the FBI raid, you were very consistent. You said President Trump knew nothing. Is that right? Yes. And then after the raid happened, on April 17th, 2017, you met with Mr. Costello, didn't you? He says, yes, I did. And I met with Jeff Cintron, another lawyer. And you had multiple communications with Mr. Costello, right? He says, yeah. And how many calls did you have? He says, I don't know, 10 calls? I want to show you B1006, Mr. Cohen. I want you to look at this redacted email from Mr. Costello. In this email, you asked Mr. Costello to ask Mr. Giuliani. You asked Costello to ask Rudy to find out how it ended up at the Southern District of New York. How did Maine Justice approve this raid of Michael Cohen? You sent that to him? Cohen says yes. Now I want to show you B1008. Before we get there, of course, this is the exact opposite of what Cohen said. Cohen said that Costello was dangling a pardon over his head, essentially. Cohen was saying that he was the recipient of this pressure to stay silent and that Costello was reaching out to him like, don't talk. No, it turns out Cohen is trying to work his way up the chain to get to Trump. So the defense continues. Now I want to show you B1008, Michael. You said that you had 10 calls with Robert Costello, your lawyer. But these are phone records. Would it surprise you that you had 75 calls with Mr. Costello? Well, he reached out a lot, says Michael Cohen. So it could be, I guess, maybe. Okay, but you had 9 hours of calls. So it wasn't just like checking in, how you doing today? You had 2 in-person meetings, and all of those were privileged, weren't they? So where did all these records come from? Robert Costello. He's like, here's my whole case file, guys. He gives it to the Trump administration. Here you go. Trump team, here you go. Because Cohen waived his privilege on that. Because Cohen was trying to blame Costello. He was actually, Costello should be furious. Cohen was trying to basically get Costello charged with crimes. They would have charged Costello to get to Trump and Rudy to get to Trump, which they've done. But Costello is clear as can be. He went in, he sat down with the SDNY, said Michael Cohen's a liar and a loser. So he's in the clear. But all of that was privileged, right? He says, well, it was, yeah, because it was in anticipation of possible representation. So it was privileged. Now, Michael, in these B1003 emails, when you're sending back and forth, you said right here on the screen, you said, great for Rudy, right? Yeah. And then in June, you emailed about the YouTube, right? You said, why send this to me? Why send me the YouTube? Right? Yes. And then on June 14th, on the Trump campaign to discredit Cohen underway, you told Mr. Costello they're going down a bad path, right? So you wrote Trump campaign to discredit Cohen underway. It must be like a link to a news article. So Cohen sends him an article. It's a link. They say they're going down a bad path, right? You said that? Yes, I did. And you were discussing who was going to pay for Mr. Costello, right? Who's going to pay for your lawyer? Well, MWE was invoicing. Okay, but Michael, you'd agree with me that you made $4.5 million in 18 months. Is that a fair number? Yeah. But how did you get money between your guilty plea and the publication of your book? Where did all the money come from in that era? He says, I had no income during that time. I started my podcast in the fall of 2020. It was about the same time this really got off the ground. It says, Trump's lawyer Blanche continues, now how much money do you make from your 2 podcasts? He says, $400,000. It's good money. Now you're pitching a TV show based on your life. Is that true? And we played that little clip there where Cohen's like, I'm the fixer and I'm going to fix everything in your life. And he's like walking around with the camera, like looking over his shoulder with a briefcase. Michael Cohen, the fixer. Okay, nice job. So you're pitching a TV show based on your life. He says, well, there is a TV show. A guy who worked on Mea Culpa is working on it. And so a bunch of weirdos over there with the Midas touch, lunatics, they're all working on it. And he's over there. They love this guy. They're like, we love your shirts. We love your t-shirts. You're our hero. Do your more TikToks. They're weird. Has it been picked up? Anybody want your stupid TV show? No. The judge says, okay, let's break here. And it's a good time to remind our friends that Inner City Press is reporting. Amazing links here. And so we're grateful to his reporting. Be sure you're following and supporting him. We fast forward through the break and we're back. All rise. Again, all right, for this judge. Judge comes in. We're back. Todd Blanche, the defense attorney's back up. Michael Cohen's on the stand. He says, Mr. Cohen, the show, you're the Fixer show. How long have you been helping to pitch this show? He says, I don't know, 3 months or so. Oh, good. Time right with the trial. Perfect. And are you writing a 3rd book? He says, I'm considering it. His first book got like $2 million. And you're also considering running for Congress? Is that true? He says, yes, I'd fit in great. And so based on the daily attacks on President Trump, is that why you're going to run for Congress? Like, that's your mission? He says, no, not on Trump. It's because it's based on my journey. I think I'd be a great congressman. It's full of liars. So I'd fit right in. Okay, Michael. Now, the Stormy Daniels payment was 130 grand, right? And you paid Red Finch 20 grand, right? Yeah. And the rest is a gross up. And there was also a $60,000 bonus that you claim Mr. Weisselberg said you got. So you got a bunch of money, right? Yes. Now, at the Trump Organization, you also made 500 grand a year, didn't you? Yeah. And since then, you've made much more, right? Yes, I have. The TDS money is thick. The left has tons of billionaires and millionaires. They just dump money hand over fist because they have no real purpose or meaning in their lives. So they just keep dumping into political consequence because that's really what makes them feel good and valuable in this world. It's like, come on, guys. Do something with your life. I don't care how much money you have. Okay, so yes, Michael Cohen. Yes, I did. I was making 500 grand a year. And do you have a financial interest in the outcome of this case? He says, yeah, I talk about it on my podcast on TikTok. And I earn money there when I do little emoji dances. So, Mr. Cohen, you stand to make more money if President Trump is convicted. Is that true? He says, no, actually, I think I'd make more if he's not convicted. It'd give me more to talk about. And of course, he could just keep pumping the lefties for that rage pellet. He escapes again. Subscribe to my podcast. Buy my next book. The walls are closing in. Yeah. So you're willing to lie out of loyalty? Is that true? Objection! Sustained. Michael, you claim to have a specific recollection of these various phone calls with President Trump. Is that right? He says, I do. No further questions. So we're done. Michael Cohen just admitted to lying multiple times, says he literally stole from the Trump Organization and that he's got a lot of animus. He was making millions of dollars off this little grift, and he is now done with the cross. We get a redirect. So the government prosecutor is back up. Before they do that, Susan Hoffinger, the prosecutor, says, Your Honor, may we approach? They go up, talk to the judge. They're back. Hoffinger continues. Mr. Cohen, did you testify truthfully in Congress in 2019? He says, I did. I thought he said 2017. So in 2019, I was truthful. Now, on the call with President Trump, this is the government, you said you didn't have a specific recollection about other matters. But is it possible that they were? He says, yes, that there were other matters. Yeah, it could be. And she's trying to rehabilitate him. In October, Michael, in 2016, were you too busy to finalize the terms of paying Stormy Daniels? He says, no, sir. No. Or sorry, no, ma'am. Did you have did the $420,000 have anything to do with the work you did for Mr. Trump? He says, no, all Stormy money. Well, I want to ask you about Redfinch. We know he stole money from them. What was that work for? Well, Redfinch, Cohen says, was to create an algorithm to have Mr. Trump raise in a poll of businessmen on CNBC into the top 10. So Redfinch acquired IP addresses until Mr. Trump was number 9 or something. What? So they're buying a bunch of bots to vote in a poll or something? So they're going to create an algorithm, AKA have a bunch of bots. It's just a bot farm. So Cohen is paying them back for that. 50 grand for that. All right. So, and then Mr. Trump wouldn't pay for that. So Mr. Trump kind of was instructing you to not pay. Is that right? Yes. Okay, but you got the money anyways, didn't you? Yes. And so that extra $30,000, Michael, that you never reimbursed Redfinch for, why did you keep it? Michael says, well, I was angry because of the reduction of my bonus. It was almost like self-help, you know. I had laid out money to Redfinch and I deserved that money and Trump didn't give me the same bonus and so I just took it. Now, the letter to the FEC they offer as People's 201. Objection. Beauvais carries a binder. Government says, now you wrote, Mr. Cohen, that the payment does not constitute a campaign contribution. You wrote that in your letter. Was that not true? He says it was not true. And the judge chimes in, jurors, Mr. Cohen's guilty plea is not in evidence, so that's not part of this case. Mr. Cohen, did Mr. Trump approve these false statements that you wrote? He did, yes. And this says, client says, thanks for what you do. Yeah, it was about that. Mr. Cohen, they said this NDA was perfectly legal. Was this NDA perfectly legal? No, ma'am, it was not. Did you plead guilty for your involvement in this NDA? Yes, I did. Now, I know you may feel like you're on trial here, Mr. Cohen, but are you? He says, yes. And how is this different than 2018 when you lied through your teeth? He says, well, back then, here, now today, my wife is not being threatened. And she was being threatened back then by the DOJ. So now I'm telling the truth is the implication. So your invoices were also false, weren't they, Michael? Yeah, they were false. And the stub was false too, right? These are the different charges. He's now going back to the criminal elements. They say there's 34 counts of false business records. Cohen's invoices were false. The checks were false and the pay stubs were false. Times 34. Now, you didn't hire Mr. Costello, right? No, I did not. I did not trust him. He kept invoking Mr. Giuliani, and I felt anything I told him was going to go to Rudy, and then it was going to go back up to President Trump. Now, is this your waiver of attorney-client privilege in 2019? He says, yes, it is. Now, when you sought early termination of supervised release, Michael Cohen's still on probation. How did the Google Bard cases get in? Remember, Michael Cohen went on Google Bard and he's like, find me cases that say I can get my probation terminated early. And it spit out the most made up cases you've ever seen. It's like Cookie Monster versus Elmo, Southern District of New York, 2019. You know what? That's a weird case. Like anybody who saw it would go, those are clearly not real. But Cohen's like, perfect, copy paste, put that in the motion. They filed it. He says, well, I searched for cases in the New York State Second Department. What? No, you didn't. It's Google Bard. They don't have, specific. I guess he's just searching for it, I guess. So he says, I searched for it and it spit out some bad cases and I put them in there. So it was just a simple mistake. I'm not dishonest. Judge says, all right, we're going to break early for lunch here. We'll see you back here at 2:15. And so the jury now exits. Now, before the attorneys break for lunch, judge says, all right, let me hear from the people. What do you guys have to say about this? And they say, Your Honor, we have some new evidence here. Government says, Your Honor, we have these photographs from October 24th, 2017. And it shows Keith Schiller and President Trump together. Keith Schiller's the bodyguard that apparently Michael Cohen called. And Cohen said that he talked to Keith Schiller about Stormy Daniels. We know, however, that the phone call was actually related to Michael Cohen being harassed by a 14-year-old kid who was texting him. And Cohen didn't know how to deal with it. So he's like, Keith Schiller, help me, please. Phone call was like 96 seconds, give or take. And Cohen apparently had enough time to ring Keith Schiller. Keith Schiller get Trump, hand the phone to Trump, talk about multiple things, including the prank call and Stormy Daniels, all in 96 seconds. Shocking. And says, Your Honor, the witness has ID'd the parties. So we have these two people. So they're now showing a photo. They're together. Ah, they are together. So maybe Schiller did hand the phone to Trump. Defense says, Your Honor, we argued about the topic of the call to Keith Schiller. These are hearsay photos. They say that they are going to have a paralegal say that they Googled it or something. Wrong. It says, but didn't the C-SPAN witness lay the foundation for this? The judge is like, well, we can still get it in because we already had the C-SPAN here person first. He says, no, Your Honor, sorry. The rule of evidence applies. The rules of evidence apply. So no, that's not the foundation for that. It's we need someone else to come in and lay foundation for a different purpose. Government says, Your Honor, we have a right to show that President Trump's speech ended at 7:57 p.m. And then we can show that this photo is of them. The judge says, well, that C-SPAN witness that we had here earlier, who was also laying foundation for other items, it was pretty detailed, says the judge. I don't know. I think maybe we can get it in through that witness. But what would the paralegal say? Prosecutor says, well, they would just say that they went to C-SPAN's website. And, but if you want to see the C-SPAN person, like we could fly the C-SPAN witness in, like we'll get him here today, like now. And the defense says, well, Your Honor, no, we're not flying anybody in here, okay? I'm sure the people knew about this issue before today. We don't just get to pause this whole trial and fly in additional witnesses, okay? They've already presented their C-SPAN person. You don't get to have two bites at the apple. The judge says, well, I think it's relevant. Let me think about the hearsay issue. I'm going to go have my lunch and we'll come back at 2:15 p.m., says the judge. So we have a break for lunch. Reminder about Inner City Press. Find them on PayPal. Find them on Patreon. Find them on Substack and everywhere else you find amazing dudes. We got lunch is over and we're back. Judge Mercan comes out. And he says, all right, over the lunch, I did receive the people's submission, the government, citing People versus Goldman. And I also read through the previous testimony of Dr. Browning, and he reads from, he says, Dr. Browning testified about the exhibits he was asked about. Now, paralegal cannot do that now. So the defense objection is sustained. The judge is like, oh, gosh. So you can't just get that in. So those images will not come in as offered. And the prosecutor goes, what? Your Honor, that's ridiculous. We have this photograph. It's going to show them together and we need it in. So we can do it. Well, we'll try to bring the C-SPAN expert back here if we need to. So we'll fly him in here. He'll be here tomorrow morning. We'll have him come in and testify, lay the foundation, we'll get the photo in. Todd Blanche, Your Honor, no way. Okay, it's our turn. We have our witnesses here. The defense is ready to go. They already had their C-SPAN expert already brought in before. They could have laid the foundation for these two photos. They didn't do it. So now it's our turn. You should cut it. They should have done this earlier. It's patently unfair to allow the people to just fly in everybody. And the judge says, well, I could just adjourn for the day. Todd, how'd you like that? So then we can just be done for the day, and then they'll have time to bring their witness tomorrow morning. It says, government, check if this witness can be here tomorrow morning at 9:30, and then we'll just recess today, end it early, so that they have time to get their witness. Your witnesses be damned. They can go home and come back tomorrow. So they take a break, and we're back. Government, says the judge, have you reached out to C-SPAN yet? Yeah, Your Honor, we reached C-SPAN. They're booking travel right now. They're like, oh, great. All the C-SPAN's like, we hate Trump. Get that guy a plane ticket. Todd Blanche, the defense, says, Your Honor, this is unfair. This is insane. You're allowing them to just put somebody on an airplane and be here tomorrow morning to make their case? Wild. He said, well, after the charge conference, the judge says, you'll get the charge conference. You'll get the charge on Thursday. And so we'll know what the jury instructions are looking like on Thursday. Now, Todd Blanche for the defense is talking with Prosecutor Steinglass and Hoffinger. Trump is speaking with Emile Beauvais. They're trying to hash this out. Prosecutor Steinglass stands up for the government, says, Your Honor, we may be able to short circuit this, all right? The exhibit will come in through Mr. Cohen, and we will stipulate that 417B is of 7:57 p.m. So in other words, the defense has, this judge is such a piece of work, the defense has now stipulated and agreed to the admission of the document. Why? Probably because they need to get their witness out. Maybe something with Robert Costello in the courtroom, and they want to get this done. So they look at the photo, they say, okay, it's a photo of them together, who cares? Says, we'll just stipulate to it, we'll admit it, we agree, we don't have to fight this out. And they're probably pressed for time or something. Like they got to get Costello next in line. So the defense agrees to it rather than digging their heels on it. They flip, okay, no problem. Photo comes in. Judge says, Mr. Blanche, now I understand that this is a strategic decision here because I forced you into it by threatening to end the case early and giving the government whatever they want. But has your client agreed to this decision? He says, yeah, he has. You forced him into it. So yeah, he did. He says, great. So let's get the witness and then we'll get the jury. All rise. Jury comes in and we're seated. Government prosecutor continues. All right, put up People's 417B, but only for the witness, Michael Cohen. You see this, Michael Cohen? It's a photo. You see it? He says, yeah. You see Keith Schiller in there? He says, yeah. He's wearing a red tie, right? Yeah. And Mr. Trump, you see him? Yeah. You'd say this is a fair and accurate photograph? He says, yeah. I offer it into evidence. No objection. They read the stipulation. We agree to submit this photo. And there may be some limitations on it. This photo is only used for something. So how many conversations, says the government, Mr. Cohen, how many conversations with Mr. Trump did you have with about Stormy Daniels in October 2016? He says at least 20 of them. At least 20. Yeah, right. Okay, so they say, all right, we're having some technical difficulties here, Your Honor. They want to play one of these phone conversations. Says we're having technical difficulties, so let's take a break. And they do. Now they're talking, Todd Blanche talking with Trump, Beauvais talking with Nicholas, Susan. Then the audio comes on loud. It's like, blah, 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 blah. Let's get the witness and the jury. Prosecutor's back. They play the clip. Michael Cohen says, well, what would you do if you were me? Would you write a book? Would you join with Bannon? Cohen's still talking. He says, nobody's thinking about Michael. You know, everyone said it was the right move. The audio plays. Now, this was your conversation with Mr. Davidson, the lawyer for Stormy and Karen. Yes. And Michael, have you faced attacks since you've been out here? He says, yes, I have. Government says nothing further. Recross. Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, stands up. Mr. Cohen, you lost your law license, right? He says, yeah. Would you say that that's in part Trump's fault? He says, yeah, in part. But wasn't part of it your false statement to a bank? Yeah. And tax evasion? Yeah. And in New York, any felony will cost you your law license, right? Yeah, correct. Now, Mr. Schiller, he would generally be with President Trump at every rally, right? Yeah. Yes, he would. He's his bodyguard. And you insist, Mr. Cohen, that in 90 seconds you spoke with Schiller about the caller, the 14-year-old caller, and then after you talked to Schiller about that call, you also told President Trump about Stormy Daniels. Your contention is you did both of those things in 90 seconds, right? Yes. Now, is this the only time you ever saw President Trump overpay for something? He says, yes, I did. I have no further questions, Your Honor. Judge says, you may step down, Mr. Cohen. Government prosecutor stands up, says, The people rest. Counsel, please approach, says the judge. Mr. Blanche, does the defense wish to present any evidence today? And of course, they do. And so we'll pick back up with the remainder of the testimony. But let us pause for just a brief moment and get some reaction to Michael Cohen, because he is now done on the stand. The defense is now going to present their case in chief, but the testimony was so bad, I want to pause and show you what some of the reaction is. Lawrence O'Donnell comes out for some reaction, and he explains how Michael Cohen is justified in allowing this testimony, or communicating this testimony, allowing him to steal without any repercussions. Here's a little bit of Lawrence O'Donnell. We'll see what CNN says, and then we'll pick back up with the testimony.
I can't tell you just how stunning it was, because it's the thing that I was waiting for. I saw everything Todd Blanche. I've seen every minute of cross-examination. I've seen every single question he's asked. And he sat down and ended his cross-examination without asking a single question about the $130,000 that appears on the Alan Weisselberg notes about how they were structuring the payment to Michael Cohen. He asked about the $50,000 that's irrelevant to the $130,000, and that's where he very effectively got Michael Cohen to agree that yes, he stole $30,000. Later, when Cohen was asked about that on redirect by the prosecution, it didn't really sound like stealing $30,000. It sounded a lot like Michael Cohen doing the little that he could within that calculation to rebalance the bonus he thought he deserved, and it still came out as less than the bonus he thought he deserved and the bonus he'd gotten the year before. But to go back to the $130,000.
Okay, so Michael Cohen didn't get paid enough, and so he was justified in taking that extra $30,000 away from the people who earned it. Now, CNN, a couple short clips, very, very shocked by what's happening. You can see this clip came over from our friend Johnny Maga, great follow on X. Listen to the conversation on CNN.
Correct. But this is significant because they appear to have caught Cohen in another lie, and this would be a lie to the other person who is allegedly part of this conspiracy, Alan Weisselberg, who prosecutors have chosen not to call because they believe that he would not testify, that he would plead the fifth. The judge has urged them to bring him in anyway. They have not done that. So Blanche, once again, now focusing on the retainer agreement.
What this also does is it puts the onus on Michael Cohen. It was Michael Cohen who arranged this scheme, the repayment scheme. If he's the one fudging to Alan Weisselberg and lying about this and twisting that, it puts more of it on him than either Weisselberg or certainly on Donald Trump.
And so far, there is no direct link proved beyond a reasonable doubt to the defendant in this alleged conspiracy. There is a lot of evidence that has been presented. There's testimony from Michael Cohen. There's testimony from others about conversations. But that is the goal of the defense team. And this right here, this line of questioning, so far they have established that Cohen may have lied in order to get some of this money.
Brutal. Okay, even CNN is saying it. And Jake Tapper had his entire heart broken after Cohen's testimony ended. Here is what he said. And this clip came over from our friend Kyle A. Becker on X. This was Jake Tapper reeling from the pain of Cohen's testimony.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating stuff. And I have to say, I'm still kind of reeling from the revelation that Michael Cohen stole money from the Trump organization. And that wasn't, at least to my knowledge, that the prosecution didn't get that out earlier.
Nope. So that's a big mistake. They call that drawing the sting. If you're going to have a big explosion like that happen in trial, I mean, it's generally devastating for your case. The government wants to call that stuff out so it's not a surprise. Did they know that this was a thing that would come out? Are they that incompetent, or are they that malicious? Are they that vindictive? Are they trying to mislead the jury? Are they trying to suborn perjury and ignoring outright theft?
Because it's not as though the prosecution is going to be helped by further evidence that Michael Cohen is a shady character. I'll get to the newest stuff in a second, but what's your reaction to that news? Because that was just kind of stunning.
I'm shocked that we are hearing it for the first time on day 3 of cross-examination of Michael Cohen.
All these people shocked. How'd this happen? How'd Michael Cohen suddenly come out and lie? Are you guys dumb? Everyone knows that this guy is a bona fide liar. He's been lying for decades. And now they're all, oh, really? Really? Did you know who he was at all?
That the prosecution did not take the sting out, did not front it, because it goes to the heart of the actual case. It's not just about establishing him as a liar. They've done that. The prosecution fronted that. We knew that. He has convictions. But going to the heart of what you were telling your employer about what money you were owed and the extent of it. We're talking about $420,000. We've already seen the payment structure here.
Right, this isn't like $15.
It's not $15. I mean, if you
like what the judge donated to Biden.
What was already known. We've known about what the breakdown of the money is. $130,000 to Daniels and her attorney. You've got $50,000.
All right, so we know he stole the money. He said he stole the money. He confirmed it. The jurors are sitting there wondering, why is a guy who stole 30 grand not on trial? But Donald Trump is for a mislabeled check stub or something. So Michael Cohen absolutely destroys the Bragg prosecution. They know it. Cohen knows it. Bragg knows it. The only thing they're trying to do is to see if they can convince a New York jury to be hyper-partisan and politicized to give him a conviction nonetheless. We're going to be here continuing to cover this. Of course, we've got the defense case in chief in the next segment coming up, so don't go anywhere or click over to that one so that you don't miss. Robert Costello's coming up. Of course, we'd love it if you subscribed and followed our channel. If you liked our channel, that'd be great. Like this video, invited some friends or family members to come over here and join us because we've got a lot more business to attend to here. We'd love to have you join us. We'll see you back here on the next one. All right, we're not done yet. We're just breaking this up in case somebody wants to jump right into this testimony. And so let's continue and get back into the trial. Michael Cohen destroyed by his own lawyer, Robert Costello, called by Trump's defense in their case in chief. And so we've got two witnesses that we're going to talk about today. The first one is a paralegal from the law firm for Todd Blanche, doing some great work over there. The next one is Robert Costello. Robert Costello, we know, former lawyer for Michael Cohen. He's going to come out here and say Michael Cohen is a liar. And the judge is not happy with him at all. Fireworks in the courtroom. In fact, Kaitlan Collins says the judge got so mad that they threw the press out of the courtroom. Here's what she posted. Says, wow, the judge is clearing the courtroom after dressing down Robert Costello for rolling his eyes at this ridiculous judge and muttering about his rulings. Oh, geez, this guy's whacked. The press is pushing back at this, and court officials are yelling. And so we've got comments and reactions from everybody, including Alina Habba and Elie Honig. But let's get back into the trial courtesy of inner city press reporting. On the day they're back from a break, government's case is now done, and it is time for the defense to begin. Mr. Blanche, says the judge, does the defense wish to present any evidence here today? We do, Your Honor. The defense calls Daniel Sitko to the stand. He comes in. Daniel, promise to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help God? Yes, I do. All right. Please be seated. Where do you work, Mr. Daniel Sitko? He says, Blanche Law, great law firm. And you work for me, says Todd, right? He says, yeah. And what did I have you do here for us today? Well, very simply, I was asked to create a summary chart of all the phone calls. And is this the chart you created? He says, yes, I did. You recognize it? Okay, we offer this as evidence. The judge says, accepted. Now, Mr. Sitko, what is this here? Please describe. He said, well, that's a list of the phone calls. We've got spreadsheet on the screen, April 16th, 2018 to June. What do we have here? He says, well, there's a total of 75 phone calls. Wow, 75. He said, can you tell me about call 48? Yeah, sure. Call 48, that took place on May 27th, 2018. It was 96 minutes long. Yes, this was. Okay, no further questions. Thanks for being here. You're doing a great job. See you back at the office. Prosecutor Rebecca Mangold for the government stands up. Asked Daniel, says DHC is just the general firm line, right? So they're trying to get phone calls to Costello. Yeah, it was. So anybody could call that line, right? And some lengths of the calls are 0, aren't they? And some are double counted, so there's less than 75 in total, aren't there? Well, there's no, he says, yes, that's true. And so no further questions. So, and I don't know what that's about. Maybe recalls. So like somebody calls at 4:55, no answer. Somebody calls at 4:57, no answer. They count that as 2 separate calls. But you say that's kind of the same call, right? You know, they kind of called the same time twice. So it's kind of double counted. He says, yeah, that's fair. No further questions. Now, the big witness comes in. We had questions about whether the defense was going to call him or not. They've now done it. Your Honor, the defense calls Robert Costello. Gasps all in the courtroom. And all the press was gasping. Oh my God. Then there's a sidebar. So he says, oh, wow. All right. So come up here to the bench. Now, the judge says, jurors, I apologize for this, but I'm going to need you to step outside. This judge knows Robert Costello is going to be damning for the case. So he kicks the jurors out so he can talk to everybody here. Jurors leave. And the judge starts whining. Oh, gosh, you know, I wish this would have been raised earlier. They're talking about some evidence. And the government says, Your Honor, if you admit this, you should only be restricted to 2 questions about it, and that's it. Trump's defense attorney, Emile Beauvais, is back. Todd Blanche has a seat. Beauvais says, Your Honor, no. We are offering this witness to rebut their allegations. They said that Michael Cohen testified that there was a pressure campaign upon him by President Trump. In fact, he said Costello led it. And so we provided notice days ago that we were calling him. And I intend to elicit many facts about how their relationship existed. Judge says, I don't think so. You're not getting into any of that. Beauvais says, Judge, absolutely, I am. Like, that's why he's here. And the judge says, well, I'm going to step down for 5 minutes, okay? Do not leave this courtroom. So the judge is freaking out. You can feel it because they called this guy and he's going to wreck their case. Trump is leaning over, talking to Beauvais, probably laughing. Says, Blanche is now holding up his own head with his right index finger. And he's laughing. He's like, this is crazy. This day's wild. This judge is insane. So they're all just like laughing, eyes wide, I'm sure, going wild. And the judge is probably freaking out. So the judge comes back out after his 5 minutes, probably calls Barack Obama. What should I do right this one? What do you think is a good idea, Barack? Hey, Barry. So he tells him. He comes back out. He's like, finally, I talked to my masters, and here's what they're telling me. He says, I'm not going to allow a trial within a trial about some supposed pressure campaign. So we're not talking about that, which is just insane because Michael Cohen brought that up. Michael Cohen allowed that. And so we're not even talking about anything about the retainer agreement either. So you can bring in Robert Costello, but he's not allowed to talk about anything that matters. So get the jury. Blanche says, Your Honor, can we get the witness first? He says, no, the witness has not been sworn in. So the jury comes back in and they recall the witness. Your Honor, the defense calls Robert Costello to the stand. Clerk swears him in. Mr. Costello, you promise to tell the truth, don't you know the truth of God? I do. Please be seated. Please state your name for the record, sir. He says, Robert J. Costello, Costello. I'm from Nassau County, and from 1975 to 1982, I was a prosecutor at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. And this guy was not just an attorney, he was an assistant United States attorney. So he's an actual government prosecutor. So do you know Michael Cohen, says Beauvais? He says, yeah, I do. And hopefully he's communicating to the jurors saying, yes, I used to be a prosecutor literally for the federal court. Do you know Michael Cohen? Yes, I do. In fact, I met him on April 17th, 2016 at the Regency Hotel. And what happened when you got up there to meet him? He says, oh gosh, Mr. Cohen was pacing. He was manic. He said, what's my escape route? He was just out of control. And did you have a conversation with him about how you'd represent him? He says, yeah. And did you give him instructions on cooperation and how to cooperate? No, I informed him. Objection! Sustained. So before the answer even comes out, objection sustained. Costello's going, huh? Okay. Okay, so I informed him of something. But no, he said to me, he said, I swear to God, Bob, I've got nothing on Donald Trump, nothing. He said, I don't know why they want to jail me for a couple of effing NDAs. They don't want to jail you, Michael. They want to jail Trump. That's the point. Then after a series of sustained objections, there's a sidebar. Okay, so the government, objection. Judge is sustaining all of them. They go up. They have a sidebar at the bench. They come back. Costello says, what did Michael tell you about how he created this NDA? Costello says, well, Michael told me that he did it on his own. And Robert, I want you to look at this email. Did you send this email to Michael Cohen on April 19th, 2016? He says, yeah, I did. Why'd you send it? He says, well, it was announced that Rudy Giuliani was joining the president's legal defense. And how did Mr. Cohen respond when he learned that news? He said, oh, that's great news for Rudy. And Mr. Costello, what do you recall about objection sustained? Costello says, geez, Judge. Jeez. The judge says, sorry? What did you say to me in my courtroom? Because he got cut off before the question was even answered. What do you recall about objection sustained? Jeez. Beauvais says, did the term back channel objection sustained? Okay. Robert, what did you mean by objection sustained? Costello's shaking his head. He's like, unbelievable, this guy. What the hell's going on? Judge flips out. All right, can the jury step out, please? Judge is furious. Jurors step out. He laces into Costello. Mr. Costello, I want to discuss decorum with you in my courtroom. You don't get to stand up here on my bench, and you don't get to say geez when I make my rulings. You understand me? And you don't give me a side eye or roll your eyes. Clear the courtroom! I want the press out of here. In a half-emptied courtroom, Costello remains on the stand, now filling up again. Don't you disrespect me in my courtroom. I'm not going to tolerate that type of conduct. Now, let's get the jury back in here, please. Jury comes back in. Beauvais, the defense says, all right, Mr. Costello, I want to show you defense 1008. Now, in this, you said, I will not pester you. If you want to talk, you know how to reach me or Jeff. And the chart says, Costello says, yeah, Michael Cohen called me. We talked for 96 minutes after I sent that. And this call with Michael, that was 46 minutes, wasn't it? Yeah. And did Michael Cohen, did he ask you to call Rudy Giuliani? Yes, he did. Now I want to show you this June 13, 2018 email, Mr. Robert. And he says, what was happening here? He says, well, Mr. Cohen was complaining about Rudy Giuliani. I told Cohen I would pass the complaint on to Rudy Giuliani. And when you were doing all this work, Robert, whose interest did you have in mind? He says, Michael Cohen. Obviously, he was my client. I was working for him. And did he refuse to pay you for your work? Yeah, he did. Now, we didn't sue. It wasn't enough money. It wasn't worth it. So we just let it go. And have you appeared in the media about this case? He says, yeah, I did. And I was at the House testifying last week as well, which was outstanding. We covered that, of course. No further questions. Thank you, Robert. Government prosecutor comes up and says, Mr. Costello, didn't Mr. Cintron, who was Costello's law partner at the time, didn't he ask Mr. Cohen to meet with you? Costello says, well, the email speaks for itself. It's right there. And didn't Cintron say that he represented Liana Helmsley and George Steinbrenner as well? He says, yeah, it speaks for itself. It's right there. You can see it. He says, well, I didn't know Michael Cohen from a hole in the wall. I don't know anything about this guy. Jeff Cintron is a real estate lawyer, so he just showed up. Okay, so but you knew at the time that Mr. Cohen was the personal attorney to the president, right? You knew that it would be a high-profile case connecting you to the president? He says, no, I didn't know that. Well, wouldn't you put it up on your firm's website? He says, look at this. You did put it on your website. He said, well, this is from me to my son, April 20th. Michael Cohen wrote to me. My son said, congrats, Dad. This is his response. Mr. Cohen asked us to go to the Regency. Well, he had been raided by the FBI, right? Costello says, well, I wouldn't say raided. I mean, they executed a search warrant. He was suicidal and he was acting manic after that fact. So it was just an execution of a search warrant. Man, it sounds like a former prosecutor indeed. But you can understand, right? Costello says, can you talk into the microphone, please? He was putting on quite a show. Okay, Cohen was putting on quite a show for all of us. And when you testified to the grand jury, Mr. Costello, you called Cohen a drama queen. I said I didn't know if he was. You don't like drama queens, do you? He says, I don't know. I don't know. And he went with another lawyer, didn't he? The judge says, please approach. It's a sidebar now. And so they break for the day. So we'll break for the day here, says the judge. Jury now leaves. Prosecutor Hoffinger says, well, Your Honor, I have about 30 or 45 minutes left with him. And Trump's defense says the redirect will be short. And so the government or the judge asked the defense, okay, so you'll rest early tomorrow? And he says, yeah. Before we exit for the day, Your Honor, Todd Blanche stands up and says, Your Honor, at this time, since the government has rested their case, we believe that it is appropriate to ask for an order of dismissal of this case, asking for a directed verdict or a judgment of acquittal, different vernacular for the same thing. We request an order of dismissal. Your Honor, there is no evidence that the records were false presented here by the government today. Mr. Cohen did legal work in 2017. He admitted it. There is no false business filing at all. And there is no evidence of any intent to defraud anyone that has been presented here in this case. Trump turns to watch Blanche as he argues. Your Honor, there was no discussion at the October 2015 meeting of any catch and kill. Never happened. Karen McDougal, Droopy, she never even wanted her story out. And Stormy Daniels, AMI wanted no part of it. So Mr. Cohen entered into an NDA. There's no criminal intent here from Trump at all. And we didn't just catch Mr. Cohen in a lie. He has a history of lies. Now he's lying in this courtroom too. And his lies are irrefutable. And the judge says, oh yeah? You say his lies are irrefutable. You think he's going to fool 12 New Yorkers? And the government says, Your Honor, a rational juror could conclude that the business records contained false information. It's insufficient if the defendant set in motion the scheme that led to the false records. It is sufficient. The judge says, well, I'll reserve judgment on this case. Todd Blanche says, Your Honor, that's okay, fine. But what happened in that October 2015 is what politicians do all the time. How was Ms. Tarasoff supposed to book this? Cohen changed his story. They had to notify us. The government says, he didn't change his story. You changed. And the judge says, okay, stop it, both of you. Again, I'm going to reserve a decision. And so we are done for the day. Court is adjourned. Woo! Robert Costello giving Judge Mercan the old side eye. Jeez, this is insane. And explaining to the jury that Michael Cohen's a liar, that the phone call and the emails show Cohen was pumping Costello and Rudy for help, not the other way around. Caught in a lie again by his own lawyer with their own documents. And so, as always, we're grateful to Inner City Press at Inner City Press on X for reporting. You can follow him on Substack, Matthew Russell Lee, icp.substack.com. We've got links to his work in our description below. So be sure you're following him so that we can continue to get this great reporting from inside the courtroom. Now, we got some reaction. Elie Honig is saying Cohen is committing a worse felony than Trump and hasn't been charged. And Alina Habba answers the question for us. Will Trump testify? We'll see what she says. But here's Elie Honig, and he clipped this one. Shout out to Ryan Saavedra for clipping this one for us. He is now sharing what Elie Honig said on CNN.
I think the revelation, though, this morning about the theft of $30,000, which was doubled because they covered his taxes, so $60,000, it came out in a glancing, unclear way on direct. It came out like a bomb earlier today. I don't know how much they can do to fix that. It just, at a certain point, it is the fact Michael Cohen did steal this money. And what makes that really so important, Wolf, is it's not as if Michael Cohen was just stealing on the side. That'd be bad enough. The problem is he was stealing from the exact reimbursement at issue in this case. So the prosecution's core argument is Donald Trump knew what that $420,000 was all about. He was totally read in on it. Turns out Michael Cohen was stealing from him within that $420,000.
Does Michael Cohen's admission that he stole tens of thousands of dollars from the Trump organization potentially open him up to further criminal
No,
process?
of course
It's a great question. The answer is not anymore because the statute of limitations has run out. But it's a very fair question to.
I don't know about that. Well, I guess you could say that because 4 years of Trump's presidency got deducted from the statute of limitations. So Cohen would not have that.
Ask folks of the jury. They gave him a free pass. He committed larceny. It's a higher degree of a felony than what Donald Trump is charged with. Yet they gave Michael Cohen a free pass, even though he's now admitted that he stole what amounts to $60,000. It goes to his credibility. It goes to his relationship with the DA.
Absolute criminal. And the criminal prosecutors put him on the stand, made him the star witness of the entire case. It's shocking. They should all be charged with crimes for suborning perjury. So here is Alina Habba in the House, and she is going to be explaining whether Trump will testify or not. And she's going to give us a very Alina Habba answer here, okay? But Trump is not going to be testifying. Hopefully Secret Service jumps in front of him if he thinks about it.
As far as where this all goes next, what would be in the thought process to testify or not testify on the part of the former president?
Well, he's got to listen to his attorneys. It's not as much what he wants to do. We know he wants to testify. He is willing. He is able. He is nothing to hide at all. He's absolutely ready to tell the truth. Frankly, I think the truth is already spoken. He was in the White House while somebody in accounting booked a legal fee payment as a legal expense. It's pretty quick, and it would be a pretty short testimony as far as the questions that would need to be asked because he had no part in this. The reality of the situation is that we have this judge, we have this court, and we have a DA who has been politically motivated since the minute he decided to run for office. Remember, this was not brought twice, not by Cy Vance and not by Bragg. The only time he decided to bring this case was after President Trump announced that he would be running for re-election. So the real question is one that would be discussed within the legal team, and of course we'll discuss with our client.
All right. And of course, the other person who was responsible for reigniting this entire saga was Matthew Colangelo, the Biden prosecutor who was at the DOJ before Cy Vance left and Alvin Bragg came in, before Mark Pomerantz and Kerry Dunn left. And then this thing got reignited by Colangelo, all because they're political hacks who are trying to take out their opponent. So Michael Cohen destroyed by his own lawyer, calling him a liar because he is, and CNN admitting this case is bad. So we're going to be here continuing to cover this. Of course, we've got some time until we have closing arguments. We're going to have more litigation, more arguments about other things before this case closes out, including the jury instructions, the charging instructions. We'll get those very soon. And so thank you for subscribing, my friends, and liking this video and following us wherever it is you're watching it. Thanks for inviting a friend or family member to come check out our channel. YouTube does not give us any love going out, so they don't say we're authoritative. So your invites to your friends, sharing a short, sharing a video is just awesome. We really appreciate that. We also want to invite you to become a member. If you're looking to get some extra content, dive into some other things that we can't get into here on the live show. We do members only streams in the morning, 6 days a week if we can get to it. And we'd love to have you join us. Join us at watchingthewatchers.locals.com or on YouTube as a membo, and we'll see you back here on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that is it for us on the day. And whoo, what a doozy, huh? I'm really grateful that we got to go through that together because we're probably not going to see anything so catastrophic ever again. Michael Cohen might be the worst witness in modern American history. And of course, they drug him out for a big case against the president. But now, my friends, let us hear from you. Let's see what you have to say about this before we head on over to locals for our members only debrief. Extremely grateful for all these awesome donos. You guys are very supportive. Thank you for sending these in. And let's see who is in the house on the day. We got Glocky's in the house. What's up, Glocky? Over on locals. Says, holy moly, what this judge did to Costello is borderline criminal and outright is witness tampering. This judge needs to be removed from the bench like yesterday. Absolute insanity. Banana Republic and the whole world is watching it. Glocky says, I stole from Trump to pay from a porn star. And this, of course, is Nelson. Nelson Michael Cohen with his finger in his nose on TikTok. This is the Democrats' hero. They love this guy. Okay, Lawrence O'Donnell's like, he deserved that money. Trump was trying to take it from him. Michael Cohen is accepting roses with his little knight's hat on TikTok. Their hero. Hey, what's up? Stephen M. says Kay Davidson kicked back to Cohen part of his 45%. That could be another possibility, right? Keith Davidson was the lawyer for Stormy and McDougal. And if Cohen gets in on the deal, they just have a split. Trump pays for it and Cohen takes his cut. Something like that, I think, is probably true. He stole from Trump, so why wouldn't he try to also get in on that grift? Hey, it's the Munkets bringing in new membos. What's up, Tony? Hey, bringing in Catania Mama Italia in the house. Welcome aboard. We got K's here. Frank B, Frank C. We got that guy. Jennifer Condi. We got L. Lambert. Azure. Old Drill Sergeant is in the house. Lenny Malley, Melanie, and other people shouting out Tony Hay Munkets for the win. Great to see everybody. And so let's see what is cooking in the house. Oh my goodness, look at this one. Hey, Carrie B made us a GIF. Wow, check this out. Okay, so this is coming up. Thank you, Carrie B, for doing this. Look at this. It looks fancy. It has a very Vegas vibe. I feel like I need to get a Vegas outfit, something really flashy. Some Vegas gear. Watching the Watchers in Las Vegas, Saturday, June 29th, watcherlodge.com for info. Thank you, Carrie B. I love that. So we'll save that for sure. And maybe we'll post that over there. It's coming up June 29th. I'm finalizing all of the deals. So it's going to be great. Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, baby. Come and join us. We're going to get a room. We got Lenny says, hey, please smash that like button, my friends. Please like and share and subscribe. Share on all social media platforms. And God bless you all. God bless you, Lenny. Thanks for being a membo and reminding everybody to hit that like button. What's up? Voice of the People is here. Says, ladies and gentlemen, June 4th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time Central, Off-Label Podcast will air a special J6 episode. We will deep dive into that day with special guest, the lectern guy who we love, who was almost in control of the whole country. Remember that? He took that lectern, that podium out of there from Pelosi. And, there's like nuclear codes in there. So that's awesome. And Glenn Croy will also tell his story for the first time. Awesome. Very cool. From Voice of the People. Make sure you're checking out the Off-Label Podcast and have a tremendous stream with those two great gentlemen. What's up, Pritchie? Says, man, I can't wait for this train wreck. It was a train wreck, and it was doozy. It was a doozy. I was pretty excited about the show today. What's up? Rain is here. Did the prosecution just admit this is all political by resting without ever presenting a crime? Again, they think that they've done that. It's pick a crime, any crime, doesn't matter as long as the jury likes it. It's good for them. Good to see you, Rain. Thanks for the comment. Hey, Stephen M says, charge Biden with 11 million counts, U.S. Code 1324A2. 11 million. Is that for all the illegals? Probably. It's a lot of charges. Imagine the indictment. That'd be a big one. But you're right. He should. 11 million. And that number is not even close to true. I don't know if you're talking about illegals, but it's probably closer to what, 30? Angie, what's up? Says 12 months as a membo. That's a 1-year anniversary in the house, a baby, and then some. We got blessings, Robert, and everyone. Blessings back to you, Angie. Thanks for being a membo. And thanks for the hearts. Great to have you for the year. It's going to be another wild year ahead. We're just getting started here. Tree Climber, what's up, Tree Climber? Bringing in Mr. E. Gifted a membo. And look at this one. Hey, what's up? Grip Van Wrinkled. Says love from Denmark. That's just crazy, man. I'd love to come check out Denmark at some point. Hey, thank you, Bobby G, mobs and fellow watchers. Loving the Sublime coverage. Can't wait to visit family in Cave Creek, Arizona again. Stay brave, y'all. So that's awesome. So I'd love to go visit Denmark one day. And Cave Creek's pretty great too. Cave Creek's a pretty beautiful part of the desert. So have some fun when you come out here, Grip. We'll see you when you get here. Stay brave, y'all, and keep on the good fight. Thank you, Grip. We got this one from Tree Climber. A membo a day keeps the BS away. A membo a day keeps the BS away. I like it. It's true. I like it. I like that. I like that rhyme. ELF is here. Bringing in, speaking of membos, 5 new membos. Thank you, ELF, for being a membo, bringing in new membos. We got Sean P. Matt's coming in. Lizzie for Freedom. Me and my dad are here. And Bud Smokius joining us on the Tube membos. Hey, White Buffalo also became a supporter. Great to have you, White Buffalo. We'll see you in the morning. And look at this one from Jigam. Jigam's over on Locals. Thank you, Jigam. What a nice dono. Says, hello to Rob and all you wonderful watcher people. I'm heading out on the road and won't be able to send gifts after this one and won't be able to comment. Well, we're going to miss you. We'll only be able to listen. So good luck rocking it, Rob. Like we know you will tomorrow morning, Rob, and the rest. Jam on that like button, my friends. Yeah, tomorrow will be fun. I'm looking forward to that talk. Jigam, thanks for the nice dono. Safe travels. Hopefully it's a very beautiful trip and you arrive at your destination safe and sound. I'm sure you will. Thank you for this gift. Don't forget to smash that like button. That's how I feel when you smash that like button. It makes me feel real good. What's up, Terry P? Thank you for that. Welcome as a new supporter. Terry P's in the house. And Glocky's here. Hey, Rob, do a quick refresh on the jury makeup and tell me at least one of those people is going to be really, really mad that the DA's office wasted their time on a painfully obvious BS case. And I would like to know if the jurors are even paying attention anymore or if they're checked out. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I think that, you know, there's a couple lawyers on here. And if those lawyers are worth anything, then they will vote to acquit Trump because this is clearly reasonable doubt. Any doubt that is based in reason is reasonable doubt. That's what it means. So there's a lot of reasonable doubt in this case about the truth of what Trump said. So the attorney should boot it automatically. It should be a hung jury, clearly. But I'm not so sure about that because attorneys are also very good at creating, delusions for themselves. Trust me, I know. So you can talk yourself into kind of anything, and they might do that. So we'll see, Glocky. There's also juror number 2 who I think reads X and True Social. So maybe we'll have just one lone holdout for a hung jury. And then we'll see if they want to retry the case. And if they do that before the election, they might try to do that if it's hung. Glocky, good to see you. Says, all I know is that when Oliver Stone makes a movie about Trump, it's probably going to be epic, especially if it's all about corruption used against Trump. Says Oliver Stone at the Cannes Film Fest. Says lawfare is being used to take down Trump. All true. JC says the real question is, did Stormy get paid the full $130? That's a good question. I'm not sure if she did. I think her lawyer probably took a percentage of that, right? I don't know, 40%. So she might have gotten even less. Take all this for that amount of money. It's crazy. She owes Trump now like 600 grand, 500 grand. ELF, more membos coming in. What's up, ELF? Thank you for bringing more membos. Troll is here. Old Lady Farmer. Gian Diata S is here. Salty's gifted a membo. And Justin Y gifted membos courtesy of ELF in the house. We got NY says, so according to Lawrence O'Donnell, if you think you deserve a bonus, you can embezzle money. Well, as long as it's from Trump, then no one cares. Yeah, you're kind of a hero, actually. You make millions of dollars and get $2 million book deals. What's up? Hey, it's the Munkets is bringing in Gloria B as a new membo. Good to see you, Gloria B. XRP Panic says it would be epic if the Trump organization turns and sues Cohen for stealing the $20K. Yeah, it would be interesting. I don't know if they'd be able to do that based on, civil statute of limitations, but I think they could make the argument that they literally just discovered it. They just learned about this. Wow. Okay. So now they have no choice but to pursue litigation. That'd be fun. Knox is here. What's up? Says, happy Monday, all. No electricity or hot water at my place. What? Streaming on a hotspot. The hurricane was real. In Texas, Knox? Still, huh? Wow. I heard that Houston just got... You're in Texas. So Houston still? Wow, Knox. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully that gets repaired quickly. That stinks. You need electricity. It's important. And it's summertime. What's up, Tree Climber? Says gifted. Hey, what's up, Tree Climber? Bringing in Angela H in the house. Thank you, Tree Climber, for that one. We got SK George on the Rumbles. What's up, our Rumble friends? And thank you, SK George. Says Judge Mercan says, don't you eyeball me, Mayo. Yeah, it'd be nice if it'd be kind of fun if we had it. Remember the Kyle Rittenhouse judge? Don't get brazen with me. Was it something like that? Don't you eyeball me. Good to see you, SK George. Thanks for the nice dono on the Rumbles. Sheila P. Bringing in 10 more membos. Carrie Who's a What's It is here. April M. Going Insane. Jennifer, what's up? Pat H. Catherine H. Maddie Adams. We got 3D Slug. Mark L. Drew D, Stumpy Stu, all gifted membos, and shout out to Terry B and Laura, and shout out to Sheila P for bringing in 10 new membos. Hey, what's up, Ollie? Says, can you please emphasize the relation of Chutkan and Burisma? So I don't know the extent of that connection. I think is the connection that Chutkan worked at a law firm that did some work for Burisma? I think that was the connection. Of course, Burisma is where Hunter worked, and he was getting paid $83,000 a year. They're all interconnected, and they all know each other. Even if there's no direct connection, and maybe there is, I don't know what it is, but they're all, they all still go to the same cocktail parties and hang out on the same text groups. So they're not far apart in any way, shape, or form. In fact, Chutkan was talking with Mercan to schedule trials to be the most disadvantageous to Trump. Hey, what's up? Elias is here. D. Elias says, it will now be on Trump to prove he didn't know Cohen was stealing from him. Yeah, they'll probably charge Trump with a crime for failure to monitor his business accounts or something. Oh, you got stolen from. That's illegal. You should have better management of your business. Maybe Tish James will sue him and take a building. Hey, what's up, Tony? Hey, Munkets. I love the channel, you know it, but I can't wait until we have real trials with real criminals like Biden, Nancy Pelosi. Let's get them. Yeah, man, that would be a real fun change of pace here. Could you imagine? Like, we covered 4 Trump trials this year. That's just the criminal cases. We covered E. Jean Carroll. We covered the ballot removal in Colorado. We've covered SCOTUS stuff. We've covered it all. What if next year we start covering all of their people being prosecuted? That'd be a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. Okay, we got another trial. Who's on trial today? Oh, Joe Biden this week. Oh, this month, it's Joe Biden. Next month, who do we have? Oh, Christopher Wray. Oh, that's good. Oh, Merrick Garland got indicted. That's great. How about Lisa Monaco? Perfect. Oh, Jack Smith's being indicted. That's great. Trial all day, all year, nonstop. I'm looking forward. What's up? Alpha She-Wolf, 12 months as a membo. An anniversary in the house, says, tis a good day indeed. Happy 1-year membo to me, long sub. Thank you, Alpha She-Wolf, for being a membo for 12 months, full year in the can. Thanks for being a long sub and for supporting us here. Hey, Bonnie's here. Says, you know what's missing from this trial? Jury questions. Even if I didn't know the backstory, I would have asked questions. Well, they may get to that. Once they go into the deliberations is when we'll start seeing all that come out. But I'm sure they have a lot of questions. And we'll probably get them. I think. We have to see what the charge looks like, what the jury instructions even look like. And that will tell us a lot. But it's going to be bad. It's going to be choose a crime, any crime, doesn't matter. Milo Phone Bill says, best testimony ever without even being allowed to talk. Yeah, Robert Costello couldn't even say anything, and it was still great. Hey, Tree Climber's in the house. What's up? Peanuts Nana is coming in, courtesy of Tree Climber. Thank you, Tree Climber. We got this one from Knox. Hey, Knox Bierman. Says, Robert Barnes and Viva are friends who are right next door. Of course, Viva is on YouTube and Rumble, and they have their Sunday streams. And then they're also together at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Good friends, saying they were singing your praises on the Sunday stream. Oh, that's nice of them. Says Robert, saying you're the best at these transcripts readings. I totally agree. I watched others on this, and even when using several people to read, it's never as right there as you. Well, a lot of people are doing awesome work out there, and different strokes for different folks, different flavors. And I'm grateful for that, Knox. I really have a lot of fun. I think this stuff is important. I think it's historic, and I'm grateful that we all get to go through it together. I don't know, we're not going to see something like this again. So really grateful for it. And shout out to all the awesome people who are doing good reads and trying to expose this to the maximum amount of people. I'm for it. I want more people to see this. So thank you, Knox. And shout out to our friends out there, Barnes, Viva, and others. We got David Smith. What's up? Woohoo, 2 months as a membo. That's great news, David Smith. First month's definitely the hardest. If you can make it past 3, you can pretty much tolerate us from here. It's good news. So first month's the hardest. Happy to see you here. We got this one from Tom McSee. They finally did find a crime in this circus. Oh, yeah, you're right. Except it's not Trump's. It's Michael Cohen's. Here, finally. Oh, there it is. Grand larceny from Michael. Fun. Hey, what's up, Scott Gimble? 3 months as a membo. Where do I get the free jelly beans? I mean, that's a good question. You're going to have to talk. To the jelly bean guy. I don't know who that is, but we'll have to figure that one out. Thank you, Scott. Membo for 3 months. Rebecca E. Welcome as a new supporter. Grateful to have you. We'll see you on the members only stream in the morning as well. This old guy's on locals says, Even a New York Democrat juror must be asking how the judge knew what the question was going to be to sustain the objections before the verb and the subject were even mentioned in the question. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The question didn't even come out and it was already objected to. That's why he said, "Jeez, the heck's going on here?" What's up? Sheila P says, "I really want to know what the questions were that the crooked judge sustained before they could even be asked." Costello rocked it. Yeah, I'm sure there will be some full reads of the full transcripts. I know Good Logic, Joe Neerman, is doing that. And he reads it the day after the transcript comes out. So maybe there's more in there that we can unpack. But to me, it seemed like it was cut off pretty quick, at least from the excerpt today. What's up? Larry says, "I wonder how many tax dollars have been wasted with lawsuits against Trump since 2016. Tens of millions of dollars. But a lot of this money just comes from the government. All these criminal prosecutions are funded by you and me. Isn't that nice? So Trump has to come out of pocket tens of millions. And in my opinion, there's a ratio. If the government spends $1, you got to spend, I don't know, 3, maybe 5, maybe 10, because they already have all of the institution and infrastructure set up. So they can spend millions. It doesn't cost them anything. Trump has to take that money out of his efforts to get reelected and to campaign and contribute that to his legal defense. So they have limitless funding, basically. Knox says, "I'm using old Arizona trick, wet sheets over the doors and windows. Poor person swamp cooler. It's only downtown Houston that's still jacked up." Wow, I didn't realize that. Yeah, that is an old Arizona trick. So it works when you have some dry weather. Houston is a little humid, no? I'm sure it'll still work, but yeah, in Arizona, that is a nice trick. Little cooling situation there. Be well, Knox. It's getting hot out, so hopefully you're staying cool. David Smith, what's up, is bringing in new membos. Thank you, David. We got Dave gifted a membo. David gifted Dave a membo. Isn't that just beautiful synchronicity? Hey, Peter M is here. Christian P, Lisa Jean, and David H, all gifted membos, courtesy of David Smith, who's a new membo. Thank you, David, for the membos. Glocky's here, says a new poll just dropped. They are going to indict Trump right into the White House. If Donald Trump is convicted by a jury of crimes related to his handling of classified documents, who would you vote for president? Trump, 52. Biden, 48, plus 4. Ooh, they hate that one. Good to see you, Glocky. This one from Cowboy Rob says, "What has a stronger, more harsh punishment? Embezzlement or larceny makes me wonder, especially slap on election interference and perjury." Well, that's a good question, and I'd have to look to New York law to see how they structure all of those. Basically, theft of property crimes. Theft of property crimes are complex, and there's different rules, and oftentimes it matters based on the money amount. Larceny between $2,000 and $10,000 is one level felony, but 10 to 20 is another felony, and then it just goes up from there. So it's increased based on intent and willful or reckless or all these different things. So hard for me to give you a clear answer on that, but certainly it sounds worse than a false business record, which starts out as a misdemeanor. And then even if it does enhance into a felony, it's like a Class E. What's up, Miss Ree? What's up, Miss Ree? Good to see you. Says, great coverage, Rob. And Inner City. Yeah, he's great. We were really grateful for him. As the witch hunt turn on President Trump, learning so much. Happy to be a membo. We're grateful to have you, Miss Ree, as a membo. Thanks for joining us. We love seeing you here. And we'll see you in the morning on our membo-only stream. Melanie's here. Membo says, when do you think the closing arguments will be, and how soon do you think the jury will provide a verdict? So it's on Tuesday, next Tuesday, not tomorrow. So they've told us the closing arguments will be 1 week from tomorrow. And that should give us plenty of time to close this case out. We know that we're not going to be in trial this week on Wednesday or Friday. So we'll wrap up tomorrow. We should be totally done tomorrow, I would guess, unless there's more witnesses coming. And then maybe we'll do charging on Thursday, and then maybe Monday as well, and then closing arguments on Tuesday, and then it's off to the jury. I think that's probably the thing. How long will the jury provide a verdict? I don't know. I'm hopeful if it's hung, it might be a long time, right? If it's a hung jury, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. If they come back quickly, I might be nervous about that. If they come back quick, like within the day or 24 hours, it might be a guilty. But I don't think it's going to be an acquittal. at all. So if it's the longer it goes, the more likely it's going to be hung. So I think we're looking for hung jury. So hopefully days, if not weeks, for them to deliberate. What do you guys say? John McGarvey says 3 days. Just Dia says 1 day. 1 day. You think they come back not guilties, or do you think that they're going to be guilties? 3 days and guilties? 1 day and guilty, or 1 day not guilty? Woo! I don't know. It's going to be spicy. We're going to be on jury watch. So hopefully it's long. Hopefully it's days. Lady Ice in the house says, boy, we just missed a major solar flare. That was the biggest we've seen yet from that last departing sunspot, but thankfully it was not facing the Earth, so we lucked out this time. It's good to be here. I'm glad we're not scorched into oblivion. What's up? NY says, if Cohen admitted to a crime, why didn't he plead the fifth? Unless he had some agreement with the prosecutor, those agreements must be disclosed. If not, any convictions thrown out. He might know that the statute of limitations has expired, or they're not going to prosecute him, or maybe they did sign a deal. But they should have disclosed that and it should have come up, so I don't think that happened. What's going on? Hey, what's going on, Angry Bell Sprout? It says, Rob's making a whole lot of babies with these membos out here. But is he supporting those same babies? Or are there a lot of family court cases lined up? Ike's girl's liking it. No, what's beautiful about this system is the babies are paying us, which is really nice. You know, so it's great. It's great. The babies support us, okay? I need the support, okay? I can't handle this on my own, so I need you guys to support me, so thank you for that. But hopefully I don't get hit with like 150 child custody orders or payments, child payments. Oh gosh, now I'm having a panic attack. I'm going to be responsible for 100 babies. Oh gosh, oh no. All right, we're going over to X, baby, to see what's happening on the X platform and who's joining us over there. And let's see who's over there on the free speech platform. Checking out X and who is joining us as we navigate over on the day. Where is our stream? There it is. All right, who's over there? Jury instructions from Fred Pedamonte. Here's what they're going to look like when they go to the judge. Do you hate Donald Trump? Yes or no? If you check yes, defendant is guilty on all charges. Very simple. Very simple. We got this one from Christina. Says, infecting the interwebs. That's why I'm here. You always make me laugh. Thank you. Watching you on Rumble. Yeah, Cohen, he's infecting our tubes. It should be over, but this liberal jury will falsely convict him, says socialism creates suffering. Oh, no. We've got Deanne. What's up, Deanne? Says their case is completely falling apart. Oh, what's up? Shakes is recovering from ankle surgery. Man, that's great. Hopefully you're healing up quickly over there. Go Trump. Shakes recovering from ankle surgery. That's not good. Oh, there it is. There's the ankle. Oh, man. So, all right, we're sending good energy into that ankle. Heal up. All right, hopefully it heals up nice and quickly. What's up, Crypto Nerd? Says, watching from Texas. Raven Madness is in the house. Good to see you. We've got Ryan. Says, the prosecutor at the end was Colangelo. Maynor is lurking in the chat, just like Arnold is. Lurking in the chat. We got Charles D. George is in the house, says the judge is mad because it's dawning on him he might not get convicted. Ryan says the prosecution did cover it, but they didn't explain that Cohen stole from Trump or that he committed a crime. I still don't understand how they didn't charge him. Could this be misconduct on prosecutors? Prosecutors have discretion, and it's not uncommon. Well, they'll say, well, if you help us, we won't charge you, but we'll charge them. So I don't know that that necessarily is in and of itself misconduct, right? Charging one person and not charging another. I think the misconduct here comes from the fact that Michael Cohen is a liar, and they knew that, and they still brought him out here. So that is, I think, something that goes to their judicial ethics or to their prosecutorial ethics. They're supposed to pursue justice. There are prosecutorial, rules and guidance that doesn't apply to all the other lawyers because they have extra power. They have, they have the badge and they get to indict people. So I don't know that they would be. I think it's misconduct, and I think it's egregious misconduct, whether it's criminal or not. I know I said that earlier. I don't know if it's ultimately criminal in New York, but why not? They charged Trump with this, so I'm sure they could find some reason to charge him. And they should be charged because what they're doing is wrecking our justice system. All right, my friends. So that came over from X. It is great to see everybody on X. Thanks for following us over there. We are going to wrap it up on the day. Now, before we do, want to remind you, especially if you're a membo. So tomorrow morning, we're not going to do a membos only stream in the morning because I got to get prepped up and speak at davosinthedesert.us at the virtual conference. I'm excited about it. We're going to talk about Bragg. I'm going to be finishing up my slides, and it's going to be good. I got about 45 minutes to run through how rigged this case is, and hopefully you can join us. Also want to invite you to come over, check out watcherlodge.com. We'll be back this Saturday for our Sovereignty Saturday, and I'm looking forward to that. robertgovea.com if you want to sign up for our daily newsletter, want to get show reports, download any PDFs, check out the merch store, or sign up for our calendar so you can add the show calendar to the phone. And that will be important because this week on Thursday and Friday, the show time will be wonked out. So add the calendar or follow the calendar, bookmark it, if you want to follow along with any of the time changes on Thursday, Friday. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com is where we are going now for our members only after party. We'd love to have you join us. Links are down in the description below. And so come and check us out over there. We had some other donos that came in. And so let's see what these are. We had this one, let's see, from Brian C. says, Michael, I think Cohen was stealing. He was taking his cut off the top in the extortion. Do you agree? Admitting to stealing doesn't exonerate Trump. His theft of Trump's property doesn't necessarily exonerate Trump, but I think it does impugn his credibility. You can't trust the guy anymore because he's now a thief. He also stole from Trump. So basically everything he says is now not believable. What's going on? Will C says, is the judge's treatment of Costello appealable? I don't know if it would be yeah, if he sustained an improper objection or something like that, yeah, that could be appealable. And that's why they're objecting and marking stuff down and making their arguments. But I don't know that he could get in trouble maybe from the Judicial Board of Ethics for that, for, an improper non-judge-like demeanor in the courtroom. What's up? Michelle P says, I thought Cohen didn't gain from the DA. I thought Cohen didn't gain. Membo for 3 months. Very nice to see you in the house. And let's see what else. Oh, we had some of these being clipped. Sorry about that. We got this one from Will C says, is the judge's treatment of Costello appealable? And Michelle P, good to see you. Lady I says, can the Trump org sue Cohen if statute of limitations is passed? I'm not sure. No, if the statute of limitations is passed, the answer is no. I don't know if the statute of limitations is passed. But if it is, then no. That would expire the case. Hey, what's up? Member for 7 months is Lowell S. He says, Rob, my wife and her whole family have extreme TDS. Oh, man. It's pernicious. It's pernicious. Gosh, I don't know what you do about that. Membo for 7 months, wife and her whole family have extreme. Have they tried watching the show at all? I mean, is it like trying to come up with a prescription to help solve this problem? And they don't make anything for this yet, as far as I know. Otherwise, MSNBC would be a lot more normal. So I'm not so sure what you're supposed to do about it. But it sounds like it's a big problem. We'll be pulling for you. She'll come around. Invite her to the show. Invite her to the show, okay? Invite the whole family. We'll bring them around. What's up, Lady Ice? And we got that one. We had Iconic says, please leave your DNA on that like button. Your touch DNA with your finger. Your touch DNA with your finger. Not, Stormy Daniels DNA or Michael Cohen DNA. We don't want any of that on our like button. No matter how bad we want those likes, you know what I mean? Cowboy Rob says, wouldn't that shock the prosecution and the judge if they just soon as closings were done, we have a verdict and we find him not guilty unanimously? Oh yeah, that would shock everybody if that happened. If Trump gets a not guilty on this, oh man, they're going to be so mad. And we're going to be so happy. But it's New York. So there's going to be at least one lunatic TDS, like, I don't know, maybe somebody from one of the lawyers or somebody will have a problem and just dig their heels in on it. We'll see. Good to see you, Cowboy Rob. Tony Hay Munkett says, you brought us all together, brother. Thank you, Tony Hay. Well, again, couldn't do it without you, Tony. You're super supportive, and you're bringing a bunch of people in to join us. So thank you for your efforts in helping what we do here. Boopsie. Oh, Boopsie. What a nice comment. Says, no question, just giving you love. Thank you, Boopsie. I appreciate that. Love you back. And glad to have you as a member. Thanks for joining us on the day. You're right about this. Iconic Meerkat says, Membo, he says, mods here are simply the best. Don't forget to thank them. It's a difficult job, but they make it look easy. kudos to you, Rob, for selecting these quality people. We got the best mods in the whole world, and we're grateful for them. And we have the best chat. Everybody's so friendly. You know, dinner table rules. It's very nice. We have a nice community here, and I'm grateful for it. Thank you, Iconic, for being a part of it. I mean it. It's a lot of fun. Even when I'm having like not a great day or something, you know, because I have the moods just like all of us. I get to come out here and hang out with amazing people like you, and I just feel great. So it's a lot of fun. We're learning a lot. We're having some fun. Hopefully we're coming a little bit, you know, better people, a little bit more expansive in our thinking as a result, as we journey on into the great unknown. Good to see you, Iconic. Thank you for that one. And so many great comments. Thank you for that one, Iconic. My friends, that is it for us on the day. We are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Before we do, we got to say thanks to our amazing mods, as Iconic mentioned, including K Bean in the house. We got Just Causes here, Playing Hooky, Ronnie Cole, our friend Zach Nichols, Dog Digger, Economy Pilot, Donut Mind Me, Carrie B, modding the fort down for us, along with our Meme Smiths, our Doc Masters. Elliot is here, Glocky McLock, Geegum McGeegum. We got Geegum Geegum, not McGeegum. I was reading Glocky. Nathan N810 and Sleepy Dog Lee, all in the house, keeping this place nice and beautiful. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day. It was a doozy. And I'm really grateful we got to go through that together, because I don't know we'll have anything like that again. It was an experience, and we made it. So we'll come back tomorrow, of course, to get into it all again. Michael Cohen is going to be back on the, Robert Costello sounds like he's going to be back on the stand, and we'll wrap it up with his testimony, and we'll see where the defense goes from here. So I want to thank you for joining us, my friends. Of course, we are going to come back here tomorrow to get into it again. And to do that, we need to see you right back here, so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system, with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. See you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.